So hello, my name is Šeilija, and today we are going to have interview. So maybe Roger, you could tell me something more about yourself and introduce us.
Well, my name is Roger Fernandez-Urbano. I am an academic and a professor that is focused on the research on happiness and inequalities. My objective is that we can have better public policies. And well, in my area, I am an economist by training, and then in my master and in my PhD, step by step, I went more to the sociology and to the social psychology in order to understand the mechanisms, and the determinants between happiness and other socioeconomic factors. So yeah, it's my passion and what I really want to do in my life. So I'm happy to do it and to try to contribute humbly to this big and beautiful area.
Okay, great, thank you. So first, maybe different kind of question. So in your opinion, just your own personal opinion, what is happiness?
Wow, what is happiness in my own personal opinion? Well,
yes.
For me, it's two things. The first is try to do something greater than yourself. So try to contribute with your work to make the world a better place in any kind of service that you want to do. And on the other hand, be aware that we are not here for a long time, and that it's also good that we try to enjoy this process, so that we enjoy the road and also we try to contribute. So for me, it's these two different aspects, and this is what I try to do always in my life. But again, this is my personal opinion. But there are also other topics that are more, let's say, academic, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, so because for me, always I perceived happiness as something which is like inner state of mind. Which doesn't have to do anything about what kind of house I'm living in or what kind of job I have. It's something something that maybe I have experienced something bad, and always after that people they seek some meaning of life, let's say like this, and then basically I have also know that people who have some really bad situations regarding health, they tend to have that this sickness was my biggest teacher. So now I realize that I'm happy about life and everything what I have now. So this is something I always imagined what happiness is all about, to understand deeper meaning of one's life. But yes, once reading all articles and also different kind of terms regarding happiness, I realized that this is also very term which is very dependent from everything what is around us.
Yeah. Actually, well, first of all, happiness was a thing that only 100 years ago was something that most people in the world didn't think about that. So even if we want to think that it comes from our inside and is not constrained by external factors, actually it is only when by the late 18th centuries and beginning of the 19th centuries where happiness started to become a more important question for the human. So once life expectancy started to increase, once people start to have more income and the middle class started to grow first in most Western economies, happiness step by step become a more important goal, and with it all the different dimensions. For instance, psychology in the past only focused in the bad parts, so in mental health problems, in anxiety, in depression, in suicide. But it is only in the last 20 years or 25 years where we have seen the growth of positive psychology that focus on different dimensions of subjective well-being. That if you want, we can talk about it, because happiness is like kind of the marketing term. But we can talk about engagement or flow, like the book of Kachimensky. Well, I don't know how to pronounce it because it's a Russian name. but it's one of the creators of the feeling of flow. We can talk about relationships and social support, about meaning and purpose in life, and different accomplishments. But all this, as I said, it only started to become more relevant for the individuals and for societies in the late 18th century and 19th century. For instance, the creators of the so-called capitalism, like, for instance, Adam Smith, before writing the foundational text of capitalism, that is The Wealth of the Nations, he wrote a few years before a book on the moral sentiment, so on the moral economy, in order, because he says there, as well as Stuart Mill and David Hume and other moral philosophers, that that it's good that with the commerce and so on and so forth, but first we have to try to focus to maximize the happiness or the utility of the ones that are worse off. So there was an increasing interest in making people happy, because it's what people saw, is what they saw in the street, and only in the last 100 years. And then it's 2 decades ago when people started to measure more happiness in the social sciences, so in the academics, especially after what is called the Easterlin paradox. That, well, maybe now I am talking too much and my answer is very, very big, but well, basically what is the first important discovery on the economics of happiness, that maybe it's also related to your question, and I finish with that here, is that Richard Easterlin was a researcher that, by the way, he's still alive, that he saw that after the Second World War, the levels of happiness started to increase, as well as the levels of GDP per capita. But at some point, both at the individual level and at the country level, the levels of GDP per capita started to increase a lot, and the levels of well-being started to level off. So this was created, this was known as the Easterlin paradox. So basically that he discovered somehow that after certain level of income, more money doesn't make you more happy. So then people started to say, okay, which are these other facets or these other important things that can make individuals and societies more happy?
Thank you. Then this your answer somehow naturally goes to my next question. So regarding high level of income, and let's mention our neighbors, the Latvia, which are Scandinavian countries. So there are some research, several research actually regarding attempters of suicide. So what is the relation here, high level of income and this really high level of suicide? So can we make some relation?
Yeah, there are different factors, but according to the United Nations World Happiness Report, always the countries that have higher levels of happiness or well-being, that has all these facets that I said before, are the Scandinavian countries. There is no doubt about it. You can measure whatever in different metrics, and always the Scandinavian states are the happiest countries in the world. Of course, it's also true that the Scandinavian states also have some social and cultural cognitive bias, so are more individualist, and when you mix that with the weather and with the welfare state, because the welfare state at the end is the most important determinant of the well-being there. So the welfare state basically what tells you is like, okay, you have a safety net, so it doesn't matter if you fail, you always will have another chance. It's like a video game that even if you always have another chance. So this is very good because it can allow individuals to be and do whatever they want in their lives. But at the same time, it also means that those who at the end don't, I don't know, after some years, they don't get whatever they thought that they could achieve, they cannot blame, like in the southern states. No, it's the corruption of the state. No, it's like I live in a dictatorship. I cannot do anything, No, they feel it like it's more personal. They cannot blame anyone. So they have tendency to blame themselves. And then, of course, in general, the society is much better than any other part of the world. But if then you mix this with more individualistic cognitive bias, and also with the weather, the ones that are more unhappy, they tend to maybe do that.
Oh, I really didn't think of this kind of approach, but it makes a lot of sense actually. That they they take responsibility on their own, so they are like kind of blaming themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. For instance, when this also very related with another concept that now I am researching, that is the locus of control. The locus of control, it's which percentage of the things that happen to you do you believe that it's because of your own individual actions or are of external factors? You know, for instance, countries that have more I don't know, like the Soviet Union, to put an example, no, usually used to create a framework, used to push individuals to think in a way that, don't worry, I am father state, that I am going to take care of you in everything. So because we know that there are a lot of things that you cannot control, so don't worry about that, no. But when you include then market economy and you put more freedom of choice, freedom of do, then of course you have more anxiety of individual responsibility, you know. But if at the same time you mix it with a welfare state, it's like, okay, don't worry, that you also have a backup, you know. So all this also creates additional anxiety for the people that they believe or they feel that they don't make it, you know. But actually, and if may I,
yes, please.
I was interviewing some months ago Carol Graham, that he was advisor of Barack Obama, and he did a lot of research in the Latin American countries and the US, and he was measuring precisely the unhappiness levels at the US. And she was telling me that she saw that, for instance, the people without education that are white in the US, you know, because the race there it's quite important. So people that come without education, white, and that come from a lower background, so for working class, they were dying at incredible fast in an incredible fast way, you know, compared to the Latino American to the Latino population and the Afro American. Well, first she thought that this was something that I don't know, maybe she did a mistake on the calculation, but then she had an office mate that was Angus Deaton, that is the Nobel Prize in economics, and he basically found the same result. So why this white working class without education people was dying very fast and was doing a lot of suicide? Well, one of the reasons is because of the perceptions of opportunities. They grow up in an environment where they told them, that they could achieve whatever they want. Their individualistic cultural bias, no, that is the land of opportunities. Either you're a winner or you are a loser. If you try it hard enough, you will always be a winner, and you're going to make it in the UK. Once they realize that they don't have these opportunities that they used to have maybe in the 70s and the 80s, but now there is no industry, there is more competition in the global market, and so on and so forth. These are the guys that later try to, attempt more suicides and try to then vote for Trump, also vote for Brexit, also vote for different populist options. So at the end, it's very related, you know, with happiness, politics, and the welfare state.
Thank you. So also regarding a question which you already answered in that article. So there was a question, how important is happiness in our lives? And you already mentioned this now, and also in that article, that it has been term which has some significant meaning in the last 100 years. So I had this idea and also a question in my mind. Can we relate that in those last 100 years, maybe this term has been, let's say, the importance of this has been somehow increased, because also there has been a lot of things changing. For instance, we don't have horses anymore, we have cars, so we tend to move faster. We have some technology, so we can harvest also some vegetables in a much faster manner than it was 100 or 150 years ago. So people tend to have more time, they are not busy anymore. It's in very simple way, and then they just start to think, so what else, what can I do? And
Exactly.
then they have spare time to think about, who am I happy?
Exactly. For instance, now in the Western countries, we used to work 8 hours, no? 8 hours, no? The 888. 888 was established exactly 100 years ago in Barcelona, by the way, in my city. And then it started to expand in the rest of countries, in the Western countries and in the world. Well, now, of course, we live much more years. Before, maybe we used to, I don't know, to live in a city, have a job, marry, have children, and then that's it. And then you die at 65 and that's it, no? Now we have much more years. We have much more opportunities to work in different things. And of course, people started to want more, want to have a more meaning in life. For instance, the value that individuals attach to work has remained stable in the last 100 years. But increasingly, people want that their work have a social meaning. So increasingly, we see more and more the new generations that are coming that they want that their work has an impact, not only for the money itself, but also that it has a value, in itself. But also, there are new research that says that, well, now, and this connects with the first part of my comment, now we are arriving into a moment where people want also to work less. There is also another wave of individuals that is doing what is called the quiet quitting movement. So it's people that just want to work whatever is necessary in order that they are not get fired, but at the same time, it allows them to really have a private life, another kind of life, to do their hobbies, to do their passions, and so on and so forth. At the same time, there are more and more governments, like the Scandinavian ones, or the government of Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, that they started to try to make the people work less hours. Instead of 8, let's work 6 hours. Instead of working 5 days a week, let's work 4. And all this increase a lot the productivity. And also, with the expansion of the safety net, that this also connects what I was saying before. At some point, maybe in 200 years, a lot of societies in the world will not need that all their individuals work or work for obligation. Increasingly, people will work more for passion. Of course, it's still with hunger in Africa and with a lot of huge inequalities in the world. It seems like very utopian thing to say, and I am aware of that. But it's true that step by step, work will become less important with the robotization, automation. So a lot of people will have, a basic income to live, and more people will be able to really only work when it's for passion, which of course will tend to maybe increase the levels of happiness in the world.
Okay, then you said that people want to have jobs which bring value. So I believe value to society, that this job means something. So would you agree that happiness and self-realization in this case are very related terms?
Totally. Well, one of the foundators of the positive psychology, Martin Seligman, he says that one of the 5 facets, as I was saying before, of happiness, is accomplishments and meaning and purpose in life. So people, step by step, want to have different accomplishments, in the professional and in private life, that at the same time join in a huge frame of meaning and purpose in life. So yeah, I think that yes, that increasingly is what people want, So totally agree.
Okay, thank you. How about let's mention our Also in Latvia, there are many people who are trying to search the meaning of life, and you can guess where they are going. So they are all going to some Eastern countries, either it's Nepali or India. So what is this all about? Because as according to my understanding, India is some kind of mecca for searching the meaning of life, searching the true like the real happiness, not the happiness which can be brought through the money, through the some kind of material things. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that there has been a good exchange of how the Oriental notions of well-being can also be introduced in our more Western conception, and I think that there are a lot of practices, like meditation, yoga, and so on and so forth, that I think that more or less allows us, to get a better equilibrium, on that. Indeed, now I am doing an encyclopedia on happiness, quality of life, and well-being. And one of the authors that is writing on that is the guy that created the Bhutan Index of Happiness. So they were the first ones that in the governmental level, they try to measure the progress of society, not with an economic indicators, but with the internal well-being, So they measure how much people meditate and how much people promote the well-being in their areas. So yeah, I think that there is a search for that increasingly is benefiting all of us.
And regarding happiness term itself, in your opinion, are there some other terms, similar terms or synonymous for this word?
Yeah, well, in the academic world, basically, we use two main terms. One is like hedonic happiness, that is the happiness at the short term, how happy are you, let's say. And the other is the life satisfaction, that is a more encompassing terms, that it's a more retrospective view of your happiness when you look about all your life. For instance, this has a lot of implications with the results. For instance, when you measure money and happiness, there were different studies that tried to analyze if what Richard Esterlin found, about this relationship between happiness and money was true or not. Well, and one of the studies that was more famous is one made by two Nobel Prizes, Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, that they saw that more money always makes you more happy if you measure happiness with this hedonic. When you measure happiness with life satisfaction. Okay, why? Well, basically because you are able to buy more extraordinary moments, and in your memory, when you look back, you think, wow, I could buy my ticket to go to Nepal and be there with the Buddhist people, or I could go to the Maldives, or I could go to this any amazing trip, or buy this amazing house where I can do a lot of stuff. So more money always will allow you to buy you more happiness. That's the reason why also a lot of people, when now they are in Instagram, they are doing an exotic trip, they like to capture this with a photo, in part for their ego, but also in part because in 5 years, maybe they are going to look at this photo and they're going to say, wow, when I went into this part of the world, wow, that was cool. Actually, I have done a lot of things, a lot of amazing, I have a lot of amazing things in my life, but when you measure happiness in the short term, then more money only makes you more happy until more or less $75,000 a year. Okay, because then in order to earn more, you have to do a lot of things, which it's true that then maybe it will allow you to buy you more extraordinary moments that you will remember, like, whoa, I was super happy. But in the day-to-day, you are going to be very stressed because you're not going to have time to maybe stay with your partner, to maybe stay with your friends, to do your activities. You will be, super stressed. So they found that this is like the optimal level.
So then also another question, isn't there some kind of limit? So if I have, let's say, imagine if I have 75,000 per year, and I can buy some extraordinary things which creates really great memories, but isn't there a limit when I will be bored? I have seen too many countries already. I have bought very I don't know, like helped others maybe, but isn't there a limit?
Exactly. That's why a lot of people, is there a limit, no? And the limit is like at the end, people also want to find more meaning, in doing something that really have an impact on the others. But if we look at the happiness levels that take in consideration different conceptions of happiness in the world, we see that still the world is quite unhappy. I mean, normally, just to put you an example, when we measure happiness in the academic world, we normally use surveys, and well, you can also do qualitative interviews, but then it's difficult to measure it, But if you do surveys, anonymous surveys, and then you ask people from 0 to 10, how happy will you say you are? From 0 to 10, what is your level of satisfaction? Well, by the way, all these measures have been corroborated by empirical studies in neuroscience, so they see that it's really correlated with the encephalogramma part of your brain, that it's the part of your brain that is related with your happiness. Well, in the world nowadays, there is let's say between 0 and 10. Which do you think that it's the level of happiness of the world in general? What do you think? Between 0 and 10?
In the world,
Yeah.
like whole world. Wow.
Yeah, the whole world.
I would say it would be 5.5 or 6
Exactly.
maybe.
5. It's 5. Wow,
Okay.
And the happiest country in the world, or the happiest countries on the world, that are always the Scandinavians, that, as I said, they mix the market economy with welfare state. They had more or less a happiness levels of 8.5 or something like this. This is the highest. And the lowest, that always are sadly are the African countries, have a happiness level of 2. Imagine. So there is a limit, but there is still a long way, to improve the happiness in the whole world, And with that, I think that once you see that this number increases for everyone, we can start as a society, to really as a society in the world to try to reach higher levels, But yeah.
But then also, if we understand that happiness is some term of, let's imagine poor countries, which of course they won't be happy because they cannot they don't have the basic needs covered, food, water, and what if somehow isn't there possible ways to cooperate with other countries because in Europe, I'm sure that there is a lot of waste of foods. People are buying too much, people are throwing away. So isn't there some kind of way to, of course, this is really huge thing, and it's something I believe many governments are talking about this, but
yes.
I believe there is some possible way of cooperation.
Again,
no?
if we look back and we look 100 years ago, the levels of global poverty and the levels of access to education, to food, to the health system, to everything, all the countries in the world, including the African, have been improving. And now I think that step by step, for instance, in Latin America, there have been a lot of advances. In Southeast Asia, also a lot of advances. So step by step, I think that we are improving a lot in this sense. And also there are a lot of organizations like the United Nations, like the OECD, like, well, there are a lot that are really trying, to create the conditions in order that all the countries can flourish. So I am quite optimistic that I think that we can, that step by step we are doing a lot of efforts, to really create the conditions, because because everyone can have this opportunity,
Right.
Because also when there are big inequalities, it's when also international conflicts are more ready to happen, you know, have more probabilities to happen. So this is also, you know, important.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for those organizations which do the good job.
Yeah. No, and also they are now more and more, and this is also related to one comment that I wanted to say, that there are now more and more governments that are trying to change the paradigm of how to evaluate the progress of societies from GDP to well-being. You know, as I said, the government of Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand, a lot of Scandinavian states. Well, they are step by step, a lot of governments, and the society is also on that. And not only governments, but also organizations. Like in the corporate world, there is a change of the maximization of benefits to really focus on the well-being of the employees. You know, and this, I think, that is a global trend. You know,
yeah, that's
especially
true.
COVID also, this is related to one thing that we were saying before, allow a lot of people to really stop and say, hey, wait, you know, what I really value in my life, what I really want to do with my life. Do I really want to be a corporate worker all my life? You know, like, no, actually, maybe there is something more deeper, you know, that we can search as a society.
Right. If we touch on question, what we were talking previously, so you said that now people try to work the jobs which are bringing some value. But here I have a question. How we can know that they want that this value is brought to society because they really want to have some kind of value, that society really wins something out of this, or they just want to brighten their ego? How, like, where are we in this case? Because I think it's very it's really nice that people are trying to work some kind of valuable jobs for them, but how we can know that, like, the purpose of this, whether can we really measure that people tend to have they are more happy because they are working valuable jobs, or they are just like going deeper in this ego and they try to brighten themselves.
This is a very good question, and the evidence is still not clear, you know. Maybe it's a mix of both, you know. It's a mix of both, you know. But for instance, all this Instagram culture, you know, that a lot of people, you know, are creating these artificial profiles, you know, that boost their ego. God knows, or whatever, who knows, you know, what are going to be the consequences of that. But at the same time, it's true that if they work for an organization, you can really measure and check if these organizations are really trying to promote a change of paradigm that really impacts, you know, a lot of population. So it's not easy. And also there are a lot of there are a lot of things, a lot of factors about contextual factors, even genetic factors, I would say, that are in this interplay. But there are also some risk, you know, that we can create a society with a lot of people that they just want to boost their ego and to But it's still a question that we need more research, because, as I said, it's a very new area of research, and also all these tendencies, you know. Internet has only been here for 30 years, you know, so it's something very new, you know. So we still don't know, you know.
That's true. That's true. Because yes, those social, you know, there are some influencers which tend to post their, I don't know, donations and everything. And of course, people admire them. And it's something, for me personally, it doesn't feel that it is, you know, from pure heart. It feels like, look, I have done something good. Please admire me now. So this is really something new.
Yes. Also, it's like the way that that we meet people, no? For instance, now we are, you know, fast relationship, fast food, everything is fast, you know, and it's not like before that we used to be less addicted to the electronic devices, and we could really focus on the moment and try to, you know, get rid of all this. You know, for instance, now in the last, I think, 7 years, that there has been a huge boom on how people meet. You know, how you meet your partner. Now the 60% of people meet through apps like these apps like Tinder, Bumble, and so on and so forth. Before, only 7 years ago, it was like only 20% or something like this, you know. So yeah, this also creates it's very related with the meaning and purpose in life, that or the accomplishment. Everyone now wants something more and want to feel that they are validated by the society, you know. And yeah, it's difficult and it's a challenging topic to talk.
That's true, but yeah, that's true. But this validation by others, so it doesn't seem that it is relevant to somebody who is happy. No, if somebody is happy, it's already happy about itself regarding acceptance and the validation of society or others. So this is another huge topic.
Totally. Well, I could say a lot of things. Yes, but I think that we should. This is where the education now is also very important, since we are a child. You know, that not only we learn, but we also learn to dislearn a lot of these dynamics that at the end can cause us more harm than benefit. You know.
Okay, great. Yes, I would talk more and more, and but for now the time is up, and I would really say very huge, big thank you that you gave this interview to me, and I would like also to send you the transcript after that, if you don't mind, to just read it through. And
of course. Thank you very much also for this opportunity, and I hope that we could talk, I don't know, interesting topics that could also, you know, be of benefit of everyone, you know. So yes,
yes, that's true.